Oh, we are unmuted now. It mutes us during our own intro. Isn't that kind of insulting to us?
That's technology for you. Happy New Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year, everybody. How are you?
Yeah, 2025 is going to be awesome.
2025. I can feel good things coming down the road for 2025. We're all have our side hustles going on now, and cinematic suffering is no different from that.
That's right. I am selling ass pictures. It's not going well. I'll tell you that.
Well, I've bought a few off of you already, so I feel you're going to do better as the year comes around.
I appreciate it, but that's what we call pity buys. But we are already distracted, everybody. We are cinematic suffering. This is Jason.
And that is Clay.
How are you, everybody? We are thrilled to be with you in 2025 to talk about our favorite subject, and that is horror movies.
Horror movies, indeed. In fact, it hasn't been that much of a suffering year for us, or for 2024. It feels like we did see quite a few great movies during the year.
And they got us right in at the finishing line too. It was a very auspicious year for horror movies. I was very happy about that.
Yeah, and I was really excited to I remember pinging you on around Christmas or around that time. I was saying we're gonna go see Nosferatu. We saw it on Christmas Day, and boy, we definitely have our thoughts about it. And you saw it like soon after, or
I saw it not too long after. The lady and I got a little bit of a head cold right around the Christmas time, so we
yeah.
waited till the next week. But we saw it not long after y'all did.
Well, and I was really anxious. I was like, oh, we got to talk about this. Will be the opening episode for 2025. So I'm really
That's
very
right.
excited. We do have a few things we gotta do some business here up front. I remember the last episode. If anyone remembers the last episode, which was Terrifier or Terrifier.
Did we do the substance or did we do Terrifier? It was
I
Terrifier was a more recent one. Terrifier
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
So we did Terrifier 3 and kind of like a rundown of the Terrifier series in general. If you haven't watched that episode, please go back and check it out. It is very informative. We have very strong opinions on the Terrifier series and Art the Clown himself. But near the end of that show, we kind of like established that we do have a call-in number and we do have DMs you can message us in Instagram. We also have our threads, all that cinematic suffering, so you can send us emails, send us DMs. Those are direct messages, by the way, for those not
for you that born before the century.
right. Yeah. So so please feel free to send us messages and comment on whatever episodes you found thrilling or you didn't like or you thought our opinions were just plain shit. We are there for you.
Yes.
And what was that number again?
It was 855-678-910-11-15-12, I think.
Okay.
I don't recall.
Yes,
Does that sound right?
It sounds about right. I don't think there's a 10, 13, or 14 in the number system.
Niner.
But you know what? I'm going to let the viewers and listeners figure that out.
Yeah.
But we
Google
do have,
it. Google it.
Google it. You can actually leave voice messages in our DMs if you would like.
And this is from what I understand, Jason, you were bombarded with messages.
Well, it's weird. I didn't realize the message system it hides or archives messages that aren't from known followers or users. Did you know that from Instagram?
No, I did not.
Okay, so it kind of like puts in like a spam folder in the direct messages, and I didn't realize we even had that. So I saw these like messages and requests and stuff. So I was like, let me just look at these, and there are a couple of viewer letters and DMs, and we actually got sent some voicemail directly. So I haven't listened.
Exciting.
I haven't listened to the voicemails.
Okay.
I have read some of the letters, and I don't know. It feels like a lot of people haven't listened to the current iteration of cinematic suffering, the one we just started up like in 2023. Was it 2023?
Yeah, well, they're fixated on the classics, is what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. So, I'm just gonna open up one of these emails. So
let's do it. This is totally legitimate, by the way.
And I don't know if if we should call these emails or just direct messages, but let's, for simplicity's sake, let's call them emails.
Yeah, they're sliding into our DMs, as it were.
They are sliding in our DMs. Okay, so this one starts off really nice. I see hi guys. That's the first thing they say in the email. Hi guys,
Very nice.
very energetic. Just wanted to let you know that your most recent episode about All the Boys Love Mandy Lane was really good. Okay, so if no one's heard the episode All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, that was an episode we did on the previous iteration of Cinematic Snuffering, which it stars Amber Heard before she blew up. So, anyways, let me continue. That Amber Heard is going places. What a cutie. Reminds me of my granddaughters, Barbara and Jenna. Totally agree on all your talking points. Looking forward to some new episodes. I love me some horror, and your podcast keeps me going at 94 years old. Okay, this is a joke. Sincerely, H.W. Bush. George H.W. Bush.
Oh, come on. That's not the George H.W. Bush, is it?
Well, I mean, hold on. Let me look up something real quick. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. It could be because that episode, All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, that episode was released October of 2018.
Okay.
And we didn't release any other episodes after that until January 2019. And when does H.W. Bush die? November 2018. So literally a month after he died.
Okay. Well, the time, yeah, it checks out, man.
It's just the timing checks out. It's just kind of like reminds Amber Heard is going places. What a cutie. Reminds me of my granddaughters, Barbara and Jenna. Okay. Well, we're just going to assume that is a legit email from the former president of the United States, George H.W. Bush, not his son.
Well, I mean, I have one that's probably, I got an email that came directly to my DMs that I'm going to share. Like it's very thirsty email.
Oh, you didn't tell me. I'm excited to hear this. Okay.
Okay. And well, they addressed it to both of us. So that last one was obviously contrived. Just written, just total nonsense. This one's very legitimate. So let's try to kind of get back on track. So I'm going to read this. Okay. Hello, incels. Just writing to let you know that I listened to your cute little review, in quotes, of Mandy Lane and wanted to educate you virgins. The opening shot of the film, where the camera lingers on the main character, that wasn't exploitative. It was worship of and adoration of the flawless form of our goddess-like lead character. So, wow. Okay. Not only was Mandy's character played flawlessly by the incredibly talented and breathtaking Amber Heard, not only was she the most physically beautiful girl in school, she had the most beautiful soul. And let me tell you something, Amber Heard did not deserve the hate she got from society. Johnny Depp is a manipulative liar. I mean, duh, he's an actor, people. The letter goes on to say, Amber Heard is a beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, deeply intelligent, captivating, amazing, talented, hot, creative, and sexy person who in no conceivable way, intentionally or otherwise, shit the bed. I mean, why would I mean, why would she do something so messed up? In conclusion, you both suck, and I mean, Amber Heard is incredible. I hope you both get that flesh-eating syphilis from the film Starry Eyes, which I somehow know you're talking about in an earlier episode. Unsincerely, Bamber Third.
Well, this is incredible. That's a very thirst trap email. I will say it's concerning me that, because just glancing at some of the other stuff I see down the line here, All the Boys Love Mandy Lane seems to be the focus of these letters. But
it seemed to captivate our viewership's attention somehow.
It did, and it's. Do you think Amber Heard actually wrote that letter and was mistakenly writing out me? I mean, that seems kind of weird to write out in a narrative.
I mean, yeah, it's like she doesn't understand the basics of, rudimentary word processorship. It's odd.
I mean, she could have easily just backspaced or, highlighted and deleted or done anything. But, she left the uhs and the i's in there.
It's strange. It's an odd way of writing, but that hoe did shit the bed. So,
but yeah,
what can you say?
I'm going to just call it legit.
Mm-hmm.
I say it's legit.
I say 2 for 2, dude. I think we're rocking and rolling, man. We are up and running. in the year 2025.
Do you have any more emails?
I do not, man.
Okay,
Go forward.
Okay, so I got one last one here. I don't want to get we don't want to take up everyone's time with the emails and letters that we get, but
we do want to remind you that we have a viewership, and y'all are lucky to be part of the group. So.
Yeah, just the fact that you're here right now, listening to us, really dictating what you guys wrote to us it's a great feeling, even though it feels like that last one kind of insulted us a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay, yeah. So this one has. Okay, I'll just read it. Heard. I don't know if this is even grammatically correct. Heard all the boys love Mandy Lane episode, and wanted to enlighten you on the pube trimming scenes. Was there a pube trimming scene in?
I don't recall that. I think that maybe I was losing consciousness from the from all the self-pleasuring that I was doing during that moment. But no, please continue.
I guess there was. Okay, so all the pubic hair you saw was shaved from grass-fed American pygmy goats under the watchful eye of the Pubis Labor Organization, PLO.
Okay.
We
are pro-labor here.
we make all organic merkins and are cruelty-free. For more information, and then it just trails off.
Well, do they even have the website, or is there 12 A's in the website address?
There's literally for more information, and it's like MAAHHHHH. So I don't know if the person got a stroke when they're writing that.
Come for the horror movie reviews, stay for the comedy.
Yeah. So I that's something maybe our viewership can look up. Was there a pube trimming scene in All the Boys Love Me?
I might rewatch that lump of shit movie if there is.
Okay. All right. So that's out of the way, and I did mention that we do have some voicemails.
Okay. I can't wait. This part's going to be as much of a surprise to me as it is for our viewers. So this is a real treat for all of us.
Yeah. So this is stuff I haven't even heard yet. I'm gonna bring these out, guys. Okay, hold on. I need to learn how to do technology here.
Just don't. There's no pressure on you, man. This is your podcast. No one's
allow me to present. Let's see. Is this a video?
Oh, a shark bit me. A shark bit you, Mama? Oh, yeah, got my arm good. Your arm's gone, Mama. That's okay, Cheetah. It'll grow back. Oh, wow! Now you just let Mama try to get through the Coast Guard. Damn it, it ain't going through. Another shark, Mama. It ain't no damn shark. It's Cthulhu.
Okay.
That was something.
That was something. That was. Now people are just fucking around with us now.
I mean, do we have like an auto block / a restraining order button available for our viewers?
I don't know. I really don't. That was a little disturbing.
Oh, that was great. That was great. That was
yeah. So I don't know what that was. It was something obviously.
It sounded like a Beastie Boys buffer somehow.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. How about this?
Hello, Yugi and Dumbass. I wanted to let you guys know that your review of Leave was dumb with a capital B. You two couldn't review the fine points of paper mache if you wrapped yourselves in a sticky gloop and rolled around in newspapers. That's right. I went there. Leave the reviews to the professionals, and those podcasts or shows are light years ahead of you. I'm going to wait a few seconds now because I know you're both trying to comprehend my words. So here I go. I'm going to wait. That's right. Take it in. That enough time for you two dimple wranglers? Thumbs down, bitches.
Okay, so
that's great. That's
questions.
Nice.
So my question was around this point.
I went there. Leave the reviews to the professionals, and those podcasts.
Why would you mention podcast and then put a weird watery sound to blank yourself
I
out?
don't know. What are you like? Is this person at sea somehow, or is this or do they live under the sea? Maybe
That might have been SpongeBob SquarePants, for God's sake. Holy shit!
I tell you, it's a star-studded episode.
No one wants to see my background screen in my Steam profile. Me itching and waiting for this to end so I can go play some goddamn video games.
I know. It's like I'm dying to get back at that Fortnite.
So, Clay, if you haven't noticed, I am in the den of Count Orlok.
Ah, yes, Count Orlok himself. There he is.
Now that's just the shadow. It's a shadow painting of Count Orlok. It's not actually him. So
because he's bathed in shadow, because he's a shadowy figure.
It's very shadowy.
Yeah.
So let's go and start this off.
Let us.
So what was this is about a vampire, I guess.
Yeah, it's Count Orlocula, Acula, Dracula, something like that.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
So this epic movie was directed by Rob
Eggers.
Omelette.
Rob Omelette. Yes.
Rob Omelette.
Yes.
Robert Eggers, of course.
Starring the star-studded Lily Rose Depp, which no relation to Johnny Depp.
Not at all.
Totally related to Johnny Depp. Nicholas Hoult, which ironically played Renfield in the movie Renfield, which I find kind of on point.
And ironically played Nux in Fury Road.
Yes, he did. He was in.
That's ironic or not.
Well, he did spray silver spray paint in his mouth on that one. Starring Bill Skarsgård, that I wouldn't know that was the case if he wasn't in the credits. Aaron Taylor Johnson was in the movie. Let's not forget Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Now, is Aaron Taylor Johnson the kid that was in Home Improvement?
Possibly. I never watched that show, but he was in Kick-Ass, the movie Kick-Ass, where asses were kicked.
Hold on, let me see this Home Improvement. Oh no, that's Jonathan Taylor Thomas. That's what.
Yes.
Wrong actor.
We all mix them up. Willem Dafoe. How could we forget Willem Dafoe?
Now a Robert Eggers go-to, it seems.
Yes. He's like he loved the way that he yanked off in the Sailor movie that he did. So why not put him in the Dracula movie? Emma Corrin, that we remember her from Wolverine and Deadpool. Ralph Ineson, Simon McBurney, and many others.
Yeah, Ralph Ineson is yet another from the stable of Eggers actors. He was in The Witch. He played the father in.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
This Simon McBurney, to me, looking at his IMDb photo, he reminds me of Bruce Dickinson now.
He does, yeah. He's a Bruce Dickinson doppelganger for sure.
Yes, he's a probably similar acting style if you were to put them both in a Nosferatu movie.
Oh, I like that little accent you put there too. It sounds just like what Bill Skarsgård was trying to accomplish in the movie.
Yes, they both have a fear of the dark.
So what was your overall take of Nosferatu 2024?
Oh, it's one of those movies that as I was leaving the theater, I said to my partner, I'm going to have to think about this movie because I'm going to feel differently about it tomorrow than I feel about it right now. And I really, really enjoyed it. I think that it's hyperbolic to call it this huge masterpiece. That seems to be the common narrative. I very much enjoyed it. Not shitting on it, but there was a point in the movie at about the second act where I had to stifle a laugh because I was thinking to myself, this is kind of fucking stupid, right?
Which part has spurred that on?
All of it. Just, I mean, like Lily Rose Depp's, Jim Carrey style face acting. Willem Dafoe's every scene.
Yeah, eating it up.
Yeah, dude, he was great, but it was an accidental comedy in so many ways, and just the whole second to third bridge of the movie was just kind of like, hey, we spent a lot on this set. You want to look at it? Like, okay, I guess I'll look at it. I'm still looking
I'm
at
still looking at it. No, I feel you. There's some points. There's one point, and you might be that same scene I'm thinking of, where Lily Depp she's making a face where she
it.
sticks her tongue out the side of her mouth and her
Mhm.
eyes are rolled back in her head, and then she just kind of stops doing it and continues to act. And I'm like, whoa, why did you do that? It was a very Jim Carrey-esque, and I kind of I as much as I want to laugh at certain things like that, I get it. It was a movie that's more about possession than it is about and possession and domination than it is like a pure vampire film. But
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to love about the movie. And I feel like, and I'm not shitting on it just for the sake of being an edge lord or something, but like there was, uh, it was accidentally hilarious in certain ways. Like, what was the actor's name that we were just talking about? The Aaron Taylor Johnson. I
oh yeah,
thought presented a significant amount of accidental comedy. He, as serious as he tried to be, the more I laughed at him. Just like he was
yeah.
just, I am so upset by all of these crazy bitches that are living in my house.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Away with you. I am tired of your fecal matter on my perfectly manicured floors.
My vapors have been despoiled by your presence here. I think one of the things I did take umbrage with was that they set this in Germany, and
Yes.
I appreciate the fact that they took that from the original 1922 film, but
Yes.
it seems to me that especially when I hear that Bill Skarsgård went through this vocal training to try to get the accent of an ancient Romanian uh, brutal killer
Lord.
warlord, and he did all this voice acting training to get the right spin and blah blah on it, but in the end they're not speaking the native language anyways, so
Yeah, it is. It's like, well, it takes place in Germany, but we're gonna turn it into a Dickensian story, kind of, in a way.
yeah, I just felt that I know they're trying to set it apart from Dracula, and if anyone doesn't know why Nosferatu isn't just called Dracula, because the original Nosferatu, made in 1922, was supposed to be Dracula. The estate, or the actual author himself, Bram Stoker, did not want
His
the,
wife.
yeah, his estate and his wife did not want the German filmmakers to make an adaptation of their movie, so they just made their own, but called it Nosferatu, changed Dracula to Orlok, changed all the character names, but it's basically Dracula, the story.
It's the Mighty Joe Young of
Yeah.
vampire movies, in a way.
So in a way, I feel like, oh, they should have just filmed this in England and had the English setting, but that would be too close to Dracula. And I know Eggers wanted to make Nosferatu uh, more than Dracula, even though they're the same fucking story. Anyways, it's just weird that they couldn't, maybe get some German actors to be in the film, even a side actor who's, how, like Christoph Waltz or someone, to make a side appearance and he's speaking German or Austrian or Bavarian or whatever they need.
Yeah, there wasn't a single point in the movie aside from the opening text crawl that said, "Hey, we're in Germany," where I thought, "Hey, we're in Germany." There was nothing German about any of it. It
Mm-mm.
all felt like old school England to
Yeah, I
me.
thought they were in London pretty much the entire. I mean, that's where my mind went, because everyone has an English accent and they're speaking English, and the only person who had the most exotic accent was Orlok, but he's speaking English with, I guess, a Romanian or Transylvanian accent.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, and I thought, like, culture moves quickly, and I know that the term gypsy is offensive, but they used it a lot in this, and it was and everybody that all the Romanis kind of felt like kind of intentionally offensive characters in this way. So it's and I'm not being politically correct. I just found it confounding.
I felt like I remember them saying specifically gypsies in the film. If that's politically incorrect now, then I have to change the name of my cat. And I know several grown adults who need to change their name too.
Well, and I mean, and I'm not trying to go off on any kind of weird tangent because, and I realize, like, before I say this, I realize that it's kind of Western ignorance is kind of what led me to here. But I always use that word to mean nomad, to somebody that's intentionally kind of like somebody that lives a life on the road. I never, that word to me never had any kind of like negative connotation with Romanis to me. I mean,
it didn't to me, and it feels like that's kind of a more recent cultural
shift.
Yeah, for sure. So I have no problem not calling a person a gypsy ever again, but I'll still have to call my cat that. I won't name another animal after with that name, but I get it.
My dog's named the N-word, so that's really, really offensive.
And by N-word, you mean Nimoy?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
What did you think I meant?
Oh, that's what I thought you meant was Nimoy.
Okay, yeah.
That's how you introduced me to it.
If we made money, this would be the time to be demonetized, Joe.
But there was, I thought there's some historical accuracy that I did like about it. There's a scene where the, I guess we'll just call them Romanis, right? That's what
sure.
That they're having these celebrations, but we see Nicholas Holt's character, who's basically playing Jonathan Harker, go into this small little village. The Romanis are having a celebration, and then he wakes up and sees them in the middle of the night with this naked woman on a horse, and they're leading this horse by torchlight into the cemetery.
Wonderful scene.
Yeah, and it's a great scene. And the wherever this horse goes, and it stops being led. It's not being led by the woman on. She's supposed to be a virgin. It's not necessarily being led by the woman on the horse, but it's just the horse just kind of going, and then it stops in front of a grave. And when it stops in front of a grave, that's where the Romanis think an actual vampire is buried. So they dig up the grave, take a steel spike and drive it through the corpse's chest, and you see like this blood gushing from the corpse. And it's very historically accurate for times back then when they thought that vampires when there was these bloodborne diseases that killed people, when we talk about the plague or anything else like hemophilia, that they blamed it on supernatural occurrences like vampires. They go out into the cemeteries and dig up people who'd been buried for maybe months, and they think they should be, rotting by now, but instead they're full of blood. The flesh of life is still about their cheeks, so they stab them, the blood comes up. But we all know that that's a physical process of not being embalmed, and that that the body does fill with fluids and bile and stuff, and it expands. So when they open up these graves, they're full of gore.
It's called lividity. It's that's one of the many ways that Rob Eggers movies, like it's weird. His movies kind of, for me, they live in my mind long after I've seen them. Like I'll kind of reminisce on his movies and be like, wow, that really got into my head in a weird way. And just the way that it was staged, the way that, kind of the way that the score kind of creeps in, and the way that the cinematography kind of unfolds. And this movie visually and the set design, just everything was on point. It was one of these movies that when I left the theater, I said, oh, I'll never want to see that again. But I kind of rescinded that immediately, because I was like, no, now I want to have it on physical media, and I want to have it on in the background as a screensaver, because it was visually beautiful. Every moment that you could look at it, there was something to look at. It was just really just rich, beautiful lighting, just beautiful warm lighting.
Yeah.
Everything was exquisite visually in
Yeah,
this one.
Eggers is an auteur for sure, and I feel that a lot of people, they feel like he's relatively new, and some people they don't like his films, and there's a reason why they don't like his films. And I'm not judging anybody who doesn't like his films, but I will say I've loved every one of his films that he's done, and every one of them is visually striking. The dialogue is The Witch and The Lighthouse. The dialogue are so distinctly different in those two movies, yet they're a perfect vision of the time and place of where they are. Uh, the 17th century United States,
Yeah,
that was authentic dialogue that was used back in those days. The Lighthouse, that's authentic dialogue used in the 19th century during those days.
yeah.
And I feel he's got a feel for authenticity in his films, and it's just beautifully shot and well done. There are some liberties he takes with that historical accuracy. This is just a little thing. The Virgin and the Horse, when I was reading, it was actually a small boy. They would
Okay.
put a little child, preferably a male child, on a horse, on a little pony, and they'd send it into. But I can understand putting a beautiful woman, a naked beautiful woman on a horse will, kind of spice things up for the screen a little bit.
Well, and I mean, and you're much more the expert on this, because I remember way back when we were teenagers, you were always like big into, Gothic literature, vampire novels. Like I
Yeah.
remember, like you would play the vampire role playing game and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. That was always a big thing for you. So I remember that you were always really into that.
Yeah, yeah, and Vampire the Masquerade, Dracula, and anything dark. And I have this obsession with immortality and the and living a long time and what I would do in those situations. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I see people like I'll go on threads, and there's this one person that said, well, a vampire, none of the vampires portrayed in movies aren't exactly what vampires are supposed to do, and this is not how they're killed. And we're like, oh, shut the fuck up. Vampires are a fictional creature, and every story has their own method of how vampires interact with the world and what they look like. You have 30 Days a Night, which is significantly different from Interview with a Vampire, to this Nosferatu versus the Bram Stoker's Dracula that Francis Ford Coppola did. We have a monstrous Dracula who is intelligent but demonic. I thought Bill Skarsgård's performance in his menacing stature and his voice was just overwhelmingly just evil. I mean,
it was entrancing. Like you would seeing that in a theater with a good sound system, where his bassy voice is just filling the theater, was kind of like, that was the way that you needed to see it. You need to see it in a dark room with a good bassy sound system. It's just, I mean, it was really something else. It was really fun.
It was another version and vision of a vampire that totally is the opposite of what Dracula was. I don't know about Bram Stoker's original intention with Dracula, but you see the romanticized versions of Dracula where he's this handsome man and that he seduces, and he's got this otherworldly intelligence and this charm. But the Orlok, even in the 1922 version, is a monster. He's a fucking demon. And that's what was portrayed on screen in this version. And I really appreciate that. And I say demon more so than vampire, because there was this possession element to Lily Depp's character, where he was possessing her. Those little mannerisms and shit she was doing were all part of that possession of his will overcoming hers.
And like, I'm still like talking through it with you. I'm still realizing that I'm kind of processing his character. Like there was kind of a disease, like there was a pestilence kind of theme with the rats and everything, but it was more occult. Like it seems like
Yeah.
that there was that they almost had to kind of offer her character up as some kind of sacrifice in order to dispatch the demon.
Yeah.
I'm still to this moment kind of wondering, like, well, what was his intentions? What brought him here? What's Orlok all about? He was almost this dark, malevolent force more than he was a character. It was,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a movie that was almost begs you to rewatch it in that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I liked it more than I originally thought I did.
Yeah, I feel like you did bring up some good points. That there are some scenes that I look back on now, and I remember wanting to laugh in the theater, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know, I kind of feel inappropriate doing it because it feels like these
Yeah,
weird faces she was making was part of the character study that she was doing. But
well, and that's interesting you said that because like we've talked about this before. Other movies like The Substance and the Evil Dead movies that are kind of just gloriously over the top. I do laugh out loud in the theater. The Terrifier movies, just to kind of break the tension of the horrific shit that you're seeing on screen, you kind of just laugh it off. But I wouldn't have wanted to do that in this one because I didn't want to. I wouldn't have wanted to ruin the viewer experience for my fellow moviegoers.
yeah, yeah, it was crazy because I saw this movie in Alabama, and the place was packed. I mean,
Really,
yeah, there on Christmas Day it was packed with people, and
that's awesome.
yeah, and it was a weird experience. I'm saying it's a weird experience because if I saw this here in California, it'd be something else. Because no one in that theater said a goddamn word. That theater was silent throughout the entire movie. Maybe occasional a person would. There's one person who when there's one scene where the guy goes into the mausoleum and goes to kiss his dead wife, that someone gasped and said, "Oh, that's disgusting." I'm just like, "Oh, get over it."
I,
It's not like he put his dick in
he,
her mouth, but it's
I think he did more than just kiss her. They didn't. They weren't explicit with it, but I got the feeling that he kind of
oh
got
yeah,
one last bone in on.
yeah, yeah, and I think it's implied, but at the same time they didn't show it. But it's like
Yeah,
he goes,
I mean, that would have lessened the movie.
yeah. So, but it was such a quiet experience, and then I know if I saw it here in California, there'd just be people hemming and hawing, and because they did that to The Substance. Of course, The Substance was a totally different movie altogether, so I guess I shouldn't compare
That
it to
that,
that.
that that's really interesting in a way because it's like I'm not trying to draw too direct of a comparison, but I remember when we went to. I live in Georgia for anybody that doesn't know, in the Atlanta area, and when we visited San Francisco, I wanted to see a heavy metal show. One of the bands that I've seen both on the East and West Coast is High on Fire and Opeth. They were playing on the West Coast, and I wanted to experience the kind of the West Coast audience. And it was really interesting to me to kind of experience a heavy metal crowd on both coasts. So that's kind of reminds me for some reason of what you're talking about. You saw
Yeah,
horror movie in Alabama, you've seen plenty of horror movies in California, and you
yeah,
get to kind of experience the audience participation of both
yeah.
cultures.
It's great seeing the U.S. is filled with many different cultures, I guess. Based on where you grew up, and it's a diverse country, obviously full of idiots, but uh,
Shitheads on both counts, but
yeah, but it's
I
really cool
th-
to see both kind of even in San Diego. I will go to shows in San Diego, like heavy metal shows in San Diego, and I'll go to heavy metal shows in L.A. and the two crowds are totally different from each other.
yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, and it's probably not a fair question, but do you think that kind of Alabama gets a shitty rap? I mean, because they're like they're kind of like the Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia to an extent, the rural parts. I think that we all kind of here in the South get a kind of
Oh
a
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The South just is the butt of everyone's jokes for sure. I coming from there, I feel I can be self-deprecating, and
Yeah,
I have the authority and know that I grew up in the area. I have my relatives are from Alabama and Georgia and South Carolina, and so I can say, yeah, there's some backward shit that happens there, but there's also great fucking people, and they're nice and give you the shirts off their back, even if they are on the opposite end of the political spectrum. This, might have relatives that are like that, but they're still nice people.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like I've lived here for so long and I've paid taxes here for so long that I feel like I've got the right to kind of say whatever I want critically, but at the same time, I also ironically get irritated when people just make blanket statements, because it's like, no,
Yeah.
there's some of the nicest people, some of the coolest people that you've ever met, like with the most foghorn leghorn accent that you've ever heard, that will jump down your throat if you say a nasty word about gay people or whatever,
Yeah.
like it's not what you think,
Yep. That was a little bit of a tangent, but it kind of just
It's what
plays.
we're about.
But it plays into. It still plays into the movie because the reviews I see coming from all walks of life. There's people in Alabama that fucking loved it, and there's people in my group of friends out here in California that hated it. And
Really?
yeah, and there's it feels like, and this feels so cliche to say, it feels like there's barely any middle ground when it comes to the movie. People like it or they don't like it, and that's what it feels like.
I think that's kind of I think that kind of bolsters its success in a way, because it's very confident in its presentation. I think that I think that it's confident enough in its presentation that it knows that you're laughing at it, that certain people are laughing at it. So, and I'm sitting here laughing at it in certain ways too. Some of the acting was just friggin' hilarious to me. It was like just people that were almost miscast in hilarious ways. Like it had the dialogue and the cadence and presentation of people that are dramatic students in a bygone time. Like it was very it was very into itself.
It was it felt to me that some of the acting was very stage play, where they're not acting for the camera, they're not method, they're acting and projecting like a stage play would, where they have to be loud, they have to be boisterous, and and they have
to make sure the people in the balcony can hear me.
Exactly, and that's what it felt like. And that I totally get that direction with a movie like this, because that coming from that time, if you're looking at 1922, people just had the silent movies going on, so they had to deal with the stage actors in vaudeville, where they're loud and boisterous, and they have to portray characters in a certain way. I feel that was bleeding into this for sure.
It really kind of re-energized my love for gothic horror and for vampire movies. That kind of made me want to see another like reinterpretation of Dracula. Like, okay, more, please.
Yeah.
I want to see more of this. It's there's just something. It's zombies are the same way. Frankenstein, werewolf, certain horror archetypes are kind of like, I don't know, they just feed into kind of into our group psyche, and it works in a way that makes you want to see more of that. That's why I think that's why it's preserved for so long.
It feels like there might be some kind of revival of those classic monsters too, with Nosferatu / vampire, with the new Wolfman that's coming out. I think Lee Wannell is doing it.
I'm curious about that one. I don't know much about it. The teaser didn't do much for me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of the teaser. So I have high expectations. Well, I don't know why I have such high expectations for any horror movie. But
it's always a bad move.
Yeah, it's always a bad move. But I'm looking forward. I'm hoping we see like a decent, not a Tom Cruise mummy movie, but a mummy movie that brings back kind of that classic Boris Karloff feel.
Yeah.
Not the Brendan Fraser version either. I don't need an action adventure. Just a good
I've never liked those movies. I know that they're beloved by people. They never did anything for me.
Yeah, I liked the first one, but I really just saw it once, so that's all. I didn't see the others, but It's
Yeah.
but yeah, I'd love to see the classic monsters come out. Now I will say that I remember my mom telling me that her watching her the most horrifying horror movie she ever saw was Dracula, the one with Bela Lugosi.
Okay.
And she said she had nightmares when she was a kid after seeing that. And then, when I finally watched it, it was laughable, right? But
Yeah.
there was, the
It's just some
acting.
old guy like
Yeah.
with greaser hair, like
Yeah.
lurching at some woman.
But I always love seeing the reimaginings of those characters and monsters over the years, because every generation has their monsters that they're afraid of, that they grew up with. And I'm not saying we used to have nightmares about our classic monsters that we grew up with, but we have our classic monsters. And just to feel that Nosferatu is now, for this newer generation of moviegoers and horror moviegoers, they're going to have this to look back on.
Yeah. It's exciting. I mean, like, horror movie monsters, they all seem to have some kind of real world horror that they represent. Godzilla's the threat of nuclear, or just
Yeah.
kind of environmental devastation. For whatever plague is affecting us at the time, be it AIDS, COVID, whatever generation is dealing with their current plague, that's Dracula. He represents that. Zombies, that's a whole other TED talk.
Yeah, and the werewolf dealing with the savagery of that's innate in man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can pull out of all these horror movies to apply it to the real world in one analogy or another.
Yeah, definitely.
But but overall, I thought Nosferatu was a most excellent movie. I enjoyed the visuals, the sound design was amazing. The acting, even though it was over the top and weird in some places, I still thoroughly enjoyed.
It still fit. Yeah. It would be a lot to hope for, but I really hope that this horror renaissance, that this momentum kind of continues into 2025. I was 2024 was a gift for horror fans, and I kind of hope that the momentum continues.
Yeah, me too. I think my only regret is that we didn't get at least 20 more dong shots of Count Orlok, but
well,
we got that one flash.
They did. Rob Eggers did give the prop of the Count Orlok penis to Nicholas Hoult as a gift, so it's on his wall framed. But
oh, can you imagine just having that just on your wall framed and for everyone to see?
It's a conversation piece.
It's a conversation starter for sure. Let's see. I'm just seeing some facts. I just wanted to run down some facts from the movie that I pulled up. I see something that it's a fact that it wasn't Bill Skarsgård who did the voice of Orlok, but Dan Castellaneta, who does Homer Simpson.
Okay.
It's these are absolutely true facts.
That's interesting. Yeah.
There's going to be a spinoff with Orlok and Nicholas Holt's character called The Odd Couple. It's kind of like a reimagining of it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I did mention the dong scenes, that there were supposed to be at least 20 more dong scenes.
Okay. Yeah.
And much more extended and much more erect. But those didn't never made it. So these are all true facts.
Well, I mean, what else are you going to do after ingesting all that Nicholas Hoult blood?
Right. Okay, well, I guess that's about it. I know you have an interview coming up with a special guest later.
That's correct. Yes. Can't wait to share that with y'all.
Yeah, we may have to put that in a separate episode, or we can tag it on to the end of this, but that's going to be very cool. Stick around either through the end of this episode, I guess, or like I said, it could be something special. Just keep your eyes and ears.
You'll see it here or there or somewhere.
Glued to the TV. I don't know why I say that. There's no TV. No one's watching this. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and leave a comment below. Tell us what you thought of Nosferatu. What are your New Year's resolutions for this year? Are you going to see more horror movies? How about more bad horror movies are you going to check out? If you're listening to this on your favorite podcasting platform,
5 stars.
5 stars, please, and leave a comment or review. And then, do we have anything else? Do we need to?
Nah, no other plugs. You'll find me if you want to look around YouTube, but no, that we're good.
Yeah, so Cinemax Suffering is also on, like I mentioned at the top of the piece, we are on Threads, we are on Instagram, so look us up on there. Leave us a DM if we leave a post, leave a comment on there too, all that good stuff. But I think that's about it. Do we? Yeah, that's about it. So I am Jason, aka Don Nosferatu.
I am Claytanic of the tribe Claytanos.
And we will catch you on our next episode.
Peace.
Bye. Oh,
See ya.
We got to do the end credits. Here we go. Outro go. Outro.